Hey, what's up? I'm Ofosu Jones-Quartey.
And I'm Leah Santa Cruz. We're the meditation coaches on the Balance app.
And this is our weekly show, Well Balanced, where we explore ways to live a healthier, happier life.
And today marks our start as official YouTubers.
Woohoo!
From here on out, we'll have video versions of every episode available on YouTube on Mondays, along with the audio version of the podcast on all the usual podcast outlets. We're everywhere. If you want to check us out in video, though, we've got a link to today's YouTube episode in the show notes.
So we're excited for you to see our faces and our spaces, but it's also a little nerve-wracking too. So I feel like I gotta shave and all kinds of stuff. I mean, we've been in your ears for a while.
Yeah.
But now you can see us the whole time. And I'm not gonna lie, it feels a little bit more vulnerable. It's another layer of presentation. Not only do I have to make sure that I sound presentable, but I want to make sure that I look good too.
You mean it's not effortless? You didn't wake up looking that way, Ofosu?
I want to say yes, but the answer is no. And I mean, it really does speak to what's the image that I want to convey to y'all. And since it's such a vulnerable, sticky, real thing, that's what we're going to talk about today. How do we get to control or affect the way the world sees us? In what ways do we, take ownership of our image? And how does that affect our self-esteem? How does that affect our well-being? How does that affect even the authenticity and the strength of our relationships?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, Leah, you'll remember, I'm thinking about this because last week we were talking about maybe showing y'all around the rooms in our home. And for me, that just raised my stress level to 1,000,000,000. I've been traveling all summer. I'm living out of suitcases. This space right here is like a small snapshot and it looks good enough, but literally one, right outside of this is just so chaotic. Just so many suitcases and singing bowls and just stuff is in disarray because I just haven't moved back into my house yet. So yeah.
Yeah, we were talking about sort of an impromptu, just kind of flash see our house, and it's sort of like if someone just showed up at your house unexpected and you weren't put together, or your house wasn't put together. What would be running through your mind? I'd be really excited if someone showed up at my house unexpected to be like, oh, wow, excited to see you. And then the next minute I'd realize, oh, wait, I'm not presenting to you the forward-facing presentation that I normally put together of all the pillows in the right place and the toys are all picked up around my house because I've got a toddler. And so there'd be a little bit of oh, well, I guess, they're going to see me in my raw and vulnerable, and this is me. And hopefully I have the good people in my life that don't judge. But there's always a little fear of judgment, I think.
I think it really, really depends on who's coming over.
Yeah.
If it was a neighbor that I'm not that close with and they're knocking on the door and they want to tell me something about something happening in the neighborhood, if I open my door and there's just and the house is in what I perceive to be disarray, I'd feel really uncomfortable. It'd be really hard to settle into my body. I'm just putting myself in that scenario right now. We don't know each other like that. You've got the perfect lawn. Now you're knocking on my door and my house looks like it just vomited toys. I'm going to really feel uncomfortable.
I have this image of toys pouring out of your house.
Yeah,
when the door
opens. Just like an avalanche of Ninja Turtles. Yeah. I mean, I'd feel super uncomfortable. But if one of my best friends from college, who I have been absolutely filthy with in our living situations 20 years ago, came to the house, I'd be like, what up? It'd be totally fine. I might I don't know. I don't know that I'd make any adjustments. I might start putting stuff away here and there, but it wouldn't be as deep. So I think it also depends on who's coming around. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think we create friendships and we hopefully surround ourselves with the people who we feel accepted by and who we know accept us for all of us, and we can be more authentic with, and we can let our hair down and be, so to speak, and be comfortable and relaxed around. But the fact of the matter is, human beings judge. That is just built into the way our brain is wired. It's how we move through the world, and we make quick split-second decisions about what's good for us and what's not good for us, and whether we like it or not, we do judge books by its cover.
Yeah.
It's not usually within our control, and it happens in sneaky ways. Like, this happens to me. I'll see somebody, and just based on the way that they choose to express themselves through clothing or like their mannerisms, I will make a quick opinion about whether I would hang out with that person or not.
Yeah.
And I might not be rationally, consciously thinking that thought. It's sort of in the subconscious, in the background.
Yeah.
So we just do make judgments. And I think a part of our survival skills, it's built in to also present ourselves in such a way that we are appealing to a certain type of person and saying, hey, I'm your people. Like,
Yeah.
like we're like-minded, or I'm safe, or whatever it is that you're expressing.
It does. I really do believe it comes from this ancient primal social need of ours to be perceived positively, so that we can be included in the group, or so that we can have power to include others in our group.
Yeah.
So to be accepted and not rejected.
Even people who think they're being rebellious and who are like, I don't care about what other people think, and I'm going to dress and act in a certain way, they're still fitting the mold of the types of people that are like that, right?
Yeah,
like they'll
for
still,
sure.
Like the punks, when that was like first that era of the punk that came out, and they were like, oh, anarchy, rebellion against people, but they all like dressed and looked similar to each other, so they fit in their own tribe.
Yeah, they all had their uniform. Yeah, I mean, how we present ourselves is such a huge part of humanity. Even in religious orders where they're supposed to have given up worldly possessions, and in many cases they have, but their uniforms, the way they present themselves, are still striking, even if it's like the sort of brown, unassuming robes of like a Christian monk or something like that. It's still a statement piece. You know what I mean? It's literally making the statement that I've taken on this life. How we present ourselves is so fundamental to our humanity, but I feel like it gives us opportunities to either, in our modern way, to be very creative with that. It also presents the opportunity to cause harm. And I think we see that harmfulness played out on social media sometimes.
Yeah, like when people portray just everything being perfect in their lives, and then other people are watching, going like comparing themselves to this standard, which is so fake. Okay, I live in Bali, right? And there's a lot of Instagrammers, like people that come here, and you can just tell because okay, this is me being to judgment again, right? Yesterday I was in a workout class, and this woman pops in, and she's dressed to the nines, like in the neon like outfit, like an 80s, like the whole part.
Yeah.
And she sets up her camera in the workout class. And she spends half the class sitting down, texting, or setting up the camera, or doing something on social media. Half the class. And while everyone's doing lunges and squats, and we're all in sync together. And I'm like, this is super weird and distracting. And then she sets up her camera, and then she'll do like a few exercises like with gusto. And then she'll come back to like editing her thing. And then she bounces out halfway through the class. And it's like, peace. And I'm sitting here going, that was not even, people are watching your Instagram.
Yep.
Thinking like you're a fitness person and this is how you got to where you are. In reality, like you're not participating in this fitness class at all.
Yep.
And there's this really fake aspect to Instagram that people, I think, are starting to become aware of, but it's still hard because it's like your brain doesn't know the difference between what it sees and like what's real.
I mean, I get into what we call comparison mind all the time on social media, and it can be anything. Like, I recorded myself training today in Muay Thai, like with my like at-home punching bag, and I'm still moving kind of slow. Like I'm not like a professional fighter, but I'll scroll through like my Instagram and I'll see all these like Muay Thai like legends, or even just like regular people who are just way more skilled than I am, and I'll want to post my little workout video, but I'll see those and I'll just be like, nobody wants to see me being imperfect. And I certainly don't want to present myself as being imperfect. Now, there are some times where like I'm okay with that. I'm very much okay talking about myself as an imperfect meditator or meditation practitioner, because that's an area that I care about people reducing their expectations of perfection. Whenever I'm talking about it, it might sound like I've never meditated before or meditating for the first time, because I'm happy to play the role of the beginner forever, because you are. But like, I'm not happy to be caught like wearing something whack.
And because of the way that you put yourself together, I can't even imagine you having something whack in your closet.
Thank you so much. I remember when I hit a certain place where nothing I put on made me upset. And I felt so accomplished. I was like, oh, I'm going to the grocery store and this is still a decent outfit. All right, okay, not too shabby. I mean, I grew up with my parents placing a very, very high bar on appearance. I mean, it's something that they cared a lot about just in Ghana, just as them as people. But when they got here to America, I think it started to play a different role for them. Like my parents, with their accents and with their names, etc.
What are their names?
Their Western names are Gil and Gina. But my dad's Ghanaian name is Nikwate, and my mom's Ghanaian name is Arabana. But everybody in the West knows them as Gil and Gina. But yeah. But Gil and Gina Jones-Quartey.
But their real names are so much cooler.
That's a whole nother thing. It's like, adjusting their names so that they're perceived as less foreign. And then dressing to the nines to even go to the grocery store to disarm prejudice and to disarm being negatively perceived.
I think there's this whole spectrum of like, on the one hand, on this end of the spectrum, we're presenting ourselves out of a fear.
Yes.
A fear of being judged, a fear of what other people think, or trying to avoid a certain perspective that people might take of us that is like a commonly held perspective or prejudice.
Yeah.
I even find myself in that category sometimes. Like when I get this idea, I'm like, okay, well, I'm a mom and I'm a meditation teacher. I need to dress more modest. And sometimes my husband's like, you used to dress a lot like sexier when I first met you. And I was like, yeah, but like I have a career teaching meditation and I'm a mom, like it's not appropriate. And he's like, well, why? So he's not into the whole like mom jean trend that's going on right now.
It's time to bring sexy back.
But anyway, so back to what I was saying, this end of the spectrum, like the fear of what other people, like your parents, of what people might think. And then on the other hand of the spectrum, it's like, well, I dress this way because I'm expressing myself out of like a reason for my own self-esteem.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with presenting ourselves or dressing up or wearing makeup or doing our hair or putting the clothes on or presenting our house in a certain way. It's not about that. It's not about like, oh, well, you're fake if you do those things. I think it's more about like, where is the intention of it coming from?
Yeah.
Is it coming from a place of fear or is it coming from a place of love where it's like, I'm loving myself?
Yeah.
I have a buddy right now who just called me and he's like, I went through this whole makeover and I changed my hair and I changed all my outfit. I got rid of my entire wardrobe and I have a whole new wardrobe. And he's like, and ever since I changed this like outer appearance of who I am now to match what I feel inside, he's like, I want to eat healthier. I want to exercise more. I want to do all these things. So for him, it was like an outside in project instead of an inside out.
So today I was having kind of a rough day. And this just speaks to what you're saying here is like, I was going to go pick the kids up from the bus stop. And it's literally like 100 yards, But as I was going to go just walk 100 yards to go pick my kids up, I could easily have done that in the workout clothes I had on. But it just wasn't making me feel good. And, the outfit that I have on right now, right? This is like my standard uniform. But I love this outfit. And I love, it really makes me feel good. So I put on my leather jacket, I put on my black skinny jeans, and I put on my boots, and I put on my jewelry, and I put on like my superhero outfit, basically. And went to go pick up my kids. And I felt so much I just felt better. It's a way of kind of completing my living statement. It's like, I'm here, and this is the sketch that I'm putting on the canvas of the world in this moment.
I think there's a certain amount of pride that we can have in ourselves, and it's like a self-respect to take care of ourselves and to groom ourselves and to have, the hygiene. And then you add on this layer of like, oh, I'm going to dress this temple of mine in something beautiful and something that feels really like shiny and new and awesome. And so as much as I think we're advocates as coaches and teachers of the inner work being so important, I think it's also important to remember that the outer work isn't just a superficial thing that's like, oh, well, you're superficial if you're worried about your appearance. I don't think that's true, actually. I think that's missing a really big importance of how the way we present ourselves can actually be very healing for ourselves. But if it's done with that intention.
Exactly.
If I go teach a meditation class, I'm probably not going to wear a shirt that shows a lot of cleavage, but but maybe I could.
You could, yeah, but it's just like, but does it help you accomplish what you set out to accomplish? For me, I'll show up to teach a meditation class dressed exactly like this because I also want to like challenge what you think a meditation teacher ought to look like. So there's a way in which the way that I dress is an artistic expression. Depending on where I'm at, this same outfit is a rebellion against a norm, which I think is important in how I show up as a teacher. And like what I'm trying to express as a teacher is like, we need to examine our perceptions and see whether or not they're valid. But even that rebellion to me is an extension of my artistic expression. Thinking about my parents and them being really concerned with how they presented themselves. It's a way that they could move up in society with ease. It was a way that they could protect themselves. So, I mean, when they go to the grocery store, how you present yourself is important to survive in America as a Black person, as an immigrant person, etc. You could literally be profiled or targeted by the police or, any kind of thing if you're dressed a certain kind of way. One thing that I definitely noticed, though, is as my parents got older, their way of dressing became much more elaborate, much more expressive, much like just these, like my dad will wear like floral patterned pants and like these super colorful shirts. And I mean, it's just, he's like a walking painting. And for him, it's just all about the art. And for my mom too, they're just pure expressionists now. Whereas in the arc of their life, there was a point, at least from my perception, where they were dressing well, but also as a means of protection, self-preservation. I think this conversation for me is asking us to examine where are we coming from in how we present ourselves as we make our debut on YouTube. But, and not just us, but us, the big us, all of us. Are we coming from a place of fear or are we coming from a place of genuine, authentic self-expression? You might actually put on the exact same thing, but one is going to be of detriment to your well-being and one is going to really lift you up and come from a place of healing. It's really, are you coming from a place of armoring or a place of artistry?
Well, thank you for sharing vulnerably about what it means to you. And it's nice to have this conversation, which I think a lot of people don't have. Yeah. It's a little taboo, perhaps. It's enlightening.
Yeah, I think it's fitting for our maiden voyage on YouTube. And if you like our show, you can check us out on YouTube. Our channel is called Balance, and we've got a link to today's episode in the show notes if you're not watching this there already. Or if audio is your thing, you can listen and follow wherever you get your podcasts. We're literally everywhere: Apple, Spotify, Amazon Music, and more.
And we're going to be back next week with a really exciting talk about sleep with an expert who teaches a college course on it that helps students get better sleep. We'll talk to you then. Have a beautiful week.
Don't forget to be kind to yourself. Peace.